Will Bitcoin ever go back up again? Will it go back up again? Well, we have plenty of history, 15, 16 years, to show us what will happen with Bitcoin. This is very simple. One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. And the beauty of this is we know the dollar is going to zero. The dollar, for all intents and purposes, has gone to zero already. 1913, the Federal Reserve comes around. Income tax, the IRS, these temporary measures, well, they're there to fund war. The 20th century was the century of global war. It was also the century of central banking. And here we are. We are living the remnants. We are reaping what we have sown. Here's the buying power over time since that time, since 1913. And yes, it is 2022 is the end point, but does it really matter? It's only gone to zero even more since 2022. So here you can see the buying power of this is when grandpa is telling you, hey, my Toyota cost this or whatever it was. I guess it'd be a Ford at that time. My Ford Model T costs this, or our house, our three-bedroom, two-bedroom ranch costs $5,000, and now it costs $500,000 when nothing has changed in the home. It's because of currency printing. That's because we have been getting destroyed by central banks. You know, it is wild because a central bank, when you think about it, owned by a global cabal. There's nothing in the central bank, and they lend currency into existence. So the Fed and the Treasury swap IOUs and currency springs into existence. And then what happens? What happens at that point? Can anyone answer? Can anyone put in the chat what happens when you have these two entities, the Fed and the Treasury, swapping IOUs? Because that's all it is. It's a swapping of IOUs. That's it. Period. They're swapping debt instruments. That's it. And currency springs into existence. So what happens? The Treasury gets all the currency, and then they go spend it on projects and entitlements or whatever it is they do, wherever they want to sprinkle around their redistribution. And then the Fed, what happens to the Fed? The bonds, all of a sudden, from the Treasury, they get sold to the Fed. They end up on the balance sheet, on the asset column of the Federal Reserve. So the indebtedness of the American, which, you know, shame on me, I didn't bring up USA debt clock. For many of you that have seen this, maybe some that haven't. Well, if I could actually spell, that's absolutely not how you spell this. But this is what happens when you have central banks, which our founding fathers knew. They knew this was not the way to go, and this is why they warned us against these things. And here we are doing exactly what we were not supposed to do, quite honestly. So, I'm trying to bring up the USA debt clock, but we have an entity that is owned by the banking families of the world from the last 400 plus years, and they swap IOUs with the Treasury. So that indebtedness that we have, all the interest, the taxes, all these things we pay, go to the Fed. At the end of the day, that's where it's going. So people, again, this is what is so frustrating. We can get into all these games of the Treasury Adrenal accounts and all these different garbage and hula hoop dances we're going to do and jumping these hurdles. Let's just cut to the chase. The average person just needs to know that the Federal Reserve is owned by the wealthiest banking families in the world, and they own 95% of the entities everywhere in the world, the nonprofits, the corporations, you know, whatever it is. And I'm not going to go too far down that rabbit hole today, I promise, because it goes way, way incredibly too deep. And there's nothing in the Federal Reserve, and then they swap IOUs with the Treasury, and then we have to pay interest and tax on that. So the Federal Reserve, the central banks, have nothing, lend it to the government, and then we have to pay interest and tax on that. And that's the federal debt. That's the debt at the end of the day, which is, do I have it now? Is this? So that is the debt. That's the global debt that we all pay at the end of the day. That is the clown world that we are living in. So let me see if I can. Okay, we gotta stop the screen. Holy cow! Here it is. In real time, the debt clock just continually going up, as many of you probably have seen over time. This is what happens. I don't know what this pop-ups here, but this is what we owe per debt per citizen. If it's being shown to you, debt per citizen, debt per taxpayer, 329,000. I remember when I started looking at this, and it was like 100,000 or 50,000 per citizen or something like that, per taxpayer. and now it's $329,000 per taxpayer. That's remarkable, and this is just going to keep happening. This is where it's remarkable because people think that the Bitcoin's not going to keep going up. The hardest money to ever be discovered is not going to keep going up. A finite money actually is going to keep eating all the assets in the world, all the monetary premium in the world because of this very fact. That's what keeps happening. So will Bitcoin keep going up? Of course it will. I mean, the greatest gift in the world would be if a bunch of these things blow up and it goes back down to 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000. I saw people fighting on Spaces the other day. Wall Street guys coming in and, oh, it's going to go back to 10,000 or 12,000. Great. Again, the average person doesn't understand, especially Wall Street, MBAs, finance guys, they have no idea what's going on. The problem is most people think that it's an asset inside of the existing system. So they still think it's a different deck chair on the Titanic. We have to keep these things simple. The analogies, the stories, the parables all have to be very simple. The average person speaks at a third grade, fourth grade reading level. I'm guessing the average Wall Street guy speaks at a fifth or sixth, seventh grade level. We got to keep these things simple. Got to be very simple. And Bitcoiners are great at that, memeing things into existence, into reality. It's incredibly important because here is the debt clock. Here's exactly what's happening. This is the problem that we continue to run into. This is going to continue happening. The debt's going to continue going up. And subsequently, the price of assets will keep going up. The price of Bitcoin will keep going up. But remember, Bitcoin is a protocol. It's the life raft off of the Titanic. It is the life raft off of the sinking ship. It is a completely separate entity. It's a completely separate network outside of the system. That's why this is so incredibly powerful. I'm going to I want you guys to see, Monochrome, the site here, has the log chart. If you've never seen the log chart of Bitcoin versus the linear price. And this is why this is also important to see what is actually happening as the network grows, because the fundamentals have never been stronger. So when you have, let me share this. So you have the log chart here of the growth of the network. This is showing you the growth of the actual network itself. Again, the price swings are crazy. And actually, I'm going to share a different one actually, because I want the linear chart in here, because this is what confuses people so much. The linear chart, the fiat price, is what actually makes things look like they're super volatile. And 1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. But yet people see the dollar price and they think Bitcoin's going up and down when Bitcoin hasn't changed. Bitcoin is still churning out blocks every 10 minutes. And the fiat price is what's actually changing. So let me show you this other screen instead, because this is going to be more important to actually see than the actual, there it is. So this chart right here is what actually is happening. So you have the network effect in the orange, but then you have the black line is the fiat price. So the fiat price is going up and down, swinging violently. But the orange line is showing you the log chart. And then again, I didn't bring in the log chart, the log chart, excuse me, but that just goes up in a channel up and to the right over time. So the orange is the network effect growing over time, while the average person just sees the black line, which is the price. And that's what scares people. That's where all the FUD comes in. And again, the FUD at the end of the day is from the biggest powers in the world. This is not, no one else has the power or the money or the time in order to FUD the price of Bitcoin and to bring the price of Bitcoin down. Because at the end of the day, the Bitcoin price does represent adoption to a large extent, correct? This is what's happening when people are putting Bitcoin in self-custody, and then the price is made at the margin. So the people on the edges, on the fringes, are who are determining the price. So whenever if most of the Bitcoin is in self-custody, it then is going to be harder. Obviously, the float or the supply that's available is going to be much less. So you're going to have people that are mainly holding, and then you have a few people at the edges. But if there's less and less of those people, the supply shock comes to the market, the supply and demand, where now people have to keep bidding up the price even more to get people to leave Bitcoin and to trade their Bitcoin for fiat dollars or whatever, any type of fiat, any government currency. So that's where this is incredibly important, to be able to see what is actually happening, so you don't get flooded out of your Bitcoin. Because like we were saying, the biggest aspect to all this is that for 15, 16 years, we had governments of the world. And this is how you know there's governments and the people with the most money, the currency printers. Instead of flooding Bitcoin, they should have just been buying Bitcoin. And and some of them will get it. Some are starting to get it, but this will continue to happen. And you will have this scenario keep playing out. But they've been spending 15 years of flooding, energy. Bitcoin's boiling the oceans. Did you know? And so all these reports, all this stuff. Again, who would be benefiting off that the most? Again, governments, banking system, the people that are going to, ironically, this was crazy. The banking system itself, or the government, the system itself, will that be smaller over time because of Bitcoin? Yes, of course. But the people inside of government and the people inside the banking system actually benefit from Bitcoin. So those entities themselves, those start going away and they have less power. But the people inside the banking system and the people inside government actually benefit because they themselves start getting Bitcoin. Their families are getting Bitcoin, so that they all keep getting wealthier, and the society keeps getting wealthier because it's a positive sum game, like we've talked about many times. And so there's less unrest, there's less craziness going on. It doesn't matter how much money you have in the world, unless you're living in an island in the South Pacific somewhere, you can't get away from everything in your life. So even if you are a fiat billionaire, a cantillionaire, someone closer to the currency printer, it doesn't matter. You still can't run from everything. Your family can't run from everything. But in a Bitcoin, hyper Bitcoinized world, in a world that is neutral money, and we capture deflation, and the winnings, the productivity gains, are redistributed back to society instead of we're redistributing things now in this Keynesian economic, fake capital, crony capital, creditism world. The redistribution there is through taxes. It's from people who earned and produced, given to people who are doing nothing. It's the opposite. We're doing the opposite of what we should be doing. So in this world, the people all stand to benefit. Society stands to gain no matter who you are. And that's the craziness. So going back to who is actually flooding Bitcoin, the people that are flooding Bitcoin are these biggest entities because they're thinking in fiat terms. They're thinking, oh, I need to get the most amount of cash. I need to get the most amount of Bitcoin because then I win. Ironically, at the end of the day, again, if you just adopt a Bitcoin standard, all society starts winning. That's the irony in all this. The upper class wins, the middle class wins, the lower class, because everyone's quality of life starts increasing. There's less unrest, like we said. There's less homelessness. There's less craziness going on. You don't have to have the shotgun strapped to your hung over your chest while you're getting gas, like you're in Back to the Future 2, Biff Tannen's Pleasure Paradise, right? This is the very simple stuff. But again, we make this very complicated. Keynesianism is very complicated because it's a bunch of hot air, because they have to beat you over the head, because they need the IRS. You're at the end of the barrel. You are, boot on the neck. This is all construct of a fake system, and a complete pseudoscience, as Michael Saylor has talked about. So this, I think, is incredibly important, this chart to see, because the orange line is what really woke me up nearly a decade ago of realizing, wow, this is Metcalfe's law. This is a network effect. This is the growth of a network that we are seeing. And it's not something, it's not some other asset. It's not just wildly swinging back and forth. Because again, other things have network effects too, right? Other technologies have network effects, things of that nature. But those things aren't also monetary networks. You have Facebook, or you could have the discovery of the light bulb and the growth of that, or the phone, or all these other things, but those aren't monetary networks. So all the things that are coming from this monetary network that keeps expanding, this is why people say it's up and to the right. It keeps going up and to the right, and it doesn't make sense if you're looking at it from a fiat lens. So this is, to me, I think that it's something that has to be shared far and wide. We just showed the debt clock, what's happening there. We showed the we showed the buying power of $1 over time. We've showed I don't know where my chart went that I always used to share, but we've shared the debt overall. I don't know where it went, but the debt that keeps growing constantly, day in and day out, because we see the numbers growing on the USA debt clock, but we also have been showing the chart visually of the debt, because the debt itself looks like the Bitcoin price, and that's where the invisible crash is coming. So people that have been holding dollars over the last 15 years, really since the GFC in 2008, have been getting hammered, just absolutely crushed if you're just holding dollars and saving in dollars. If you've hedged and just kind of made out and just kind of stayed level, or just your head stayed above water, if you were in stocks generally, or the S&P 500, gold and silver, stuff like that, Bitcoin's the only thing that's just absolutely crushed everything in the last 15 years. And it's going to continue. And again, why is that? Why does Bitcoin continue to increase more than the others over time. Again, this is not rocket science. This is very simple. It is a network that is truly finite, unlike anything else. There is no other network that is truly finite, equal to your finite time and energy. Finite time and energy here on Earth, finite money, finite protocol. It is they're the only two things that I know of that are truly finite. There's no artificial finiteness to them. They're the only things. So, of course, humans over time, as they're educated, are going to continue finding Bitcoin and saying, wow, this is the best vehicle. And can we trust that vehicle? Well, for 15, 16 years, it's been doing the job. There's been two downtimes in 2010 and 2013 for a few hours, and those things were fixed very quickly. And it's a decentralized network with hundreds of thousands, maybe million nodes around the earth, unlike JP Morgan Chase, unlike name your favorite tech company where there's one node. One thing goes down. How many times have we seen the Instagram go down or Facebook or these different networks, internet going down a couple weeks, or AWS, I should say, these different huge server farms going down. And no one bats an eye. Everyone just thinks, yeah, that's great. How many times have we seen this happen with the banking network? How many times have we seen people getting bailed in, getting their money stolen right out of their account? Happening over and over and over again throughout the years. And yet we just choose not to learn. We choose not to actually see what's happening with our own eyes. We choose not to believe it. So again, these are not, this is very simple. It's psychological. This is a psychological phenomenon, just like we've talked about before with hyperinflation being a psychological phenomenon. Hyperinflation is a loss of confidence in the currency. It doesn't matter, like you said, how many aircraft carriers you have. There's no amount of aircraft carriers and nuclear subs, Ohio-class submarines, that can instill confidence in this system. Now, is the dollar still the thing that most people in the world look to? Yeah, it is. It has the most apps. It has the most far-reaching tentacles built off of it so far. It's the best thing that most people have. This is why Tether, this is why the stable coins are getting so much play. But again, all these things, and again, the US needs someone to feed their treasuries to. But this is why I always try to say, and this is why we do the live streams now, is to build community together, to talk with each other, to develop relationships, but also to remember to keep the main thing the main thing. This is not rocket science. Bitcoin is not meant to be rocket science. It can be if we want it to be, but that's not going to help 99.9% of the people. If it's money, and we know it's money, and it's going to be medium exchange, unit account, store of value, and all these things, and we have to replace and spend. We've got to self-custody it. We have to spend and support the network, support the circular economy. We have to do all these things. We have to save in it. We have to use it, give energy to that new network. Be the example. If we're not doing it, then who is? It's not going to be government. It's not going to be ETFs. We're over here for the last 2 years, many in the Bitcoin camp, really all of us, right, have been focusing on ETFs, focusing on things that really is just a psyop at the end of the day. It's a way, whether direct or indirect, or whether meant to be or not, it's a world that when the rest of society looks at it and just says, and we see it a lot now, actually, we see a lot of people that have objections to it because they say, hey, you Bitcoiners used to be, again, and this is part of the growth of it, right? Part of the growth of Bitcoin was because it was outside the system, completely outside the system. We weren't waiting for regulatory, please give me regulatory frameworks. Please eliminate capital gains. Please give me your new ETF. This is why there are many people, to be totally honest, I think this is why, one of the reasons that retail hasn't come back. In 2017, you had people just learning about Bitcoin and realizing, oh, wow, this is something outside the system. So you had a massive explosion, a massive spike. And now we have a world where, what's the difference? There's not much difference. There really isn't. It's not saying, again, that it's the end of anything, right? We're in the middle innings of this game here, or the beginning inning. So a lot of this game's got to play out still. But what's the difference? If I'm some random guy or gal or some retail investor, or if I'm, whoever it is, and I'm looking for an asset, the people wonder, why is it related to the NASDAQ? Why is it related to tech stocks? Why is it moving similarly to risk on assets, when really we know it's a risk-off asset? It's completely outside the network. It's literally the life raft off the system. Well, it's because so much of it has been aggregated into these different vehicles, into Wall Street vehicles, like it or not. That's the truth. So now you have a lot of people looking at it when very few people understand the monetary system in the first place. They don't even know might know there's problems in life, but they have no idea there's a solution. So how can you expect them to look at Bitcoin any different? They don't see Bitcoin how many of us see Bitcoin. They haven't done the homework. So how we have to empathize with that and understand that now they just look at it and be like, well, what are you guys doing different? What's actually happening here? You guys are just yelling about Bitcoin, but it's in the ETF. Like I just buy it and at one click in my portfolio. Okay, great, thanks, sweet guys. Like see you later. That's that's what we're dealing with. Again, like it or not. And the only reason we do this stuff and we show up here day in and day out is because we don't want collateral damage. We don't want the system to go that direction. And you're trying to stave off getting kicked in the face a thousandth time and feeling and having pain with people all around you and seeing people suffer. That's it. That's the only reason why. Because that Bitcoin, if it stays decentralized and secure, is inevitable in the sense that people will find it eventually if we can tend to it, make sure it stays what it is and as a neutral monetary protocol and stays as money. Well, then we know people will eventually find it over time, just like they did with all the other different monies we've used in life. But the problem is if we don't make it there, if we let it be built into the mind, into the collective ether, the collective consciousness of, hey, it's just another asset in your portfolio. It's just something else to do. I mean, again, all you have to do is go back and look 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and watch the John Matoneses, watch the Max Kaisers, watch the Trace Mayers, watch Andreas Antonopoulos, watch some of the OGs and talking about Bitcoin. And it was a way around the system. It was a sly, roundabout way outside the system. And now it's in the system. So it's two things. We're in a world where we have to be very careful because things are not centralized, because Bitcoin is decentralized, but it's getting cornered, we'll say. It's getting cornered, and it's the mind. It's the mind. And it's making sure that the education is there. Self-custodying. Putting on your seed plate. Got your seed words. Creating the community. Supporting the circular economy. Doing the things that we need to do to push the network forward. Because at the end of the day, if it's money, if it's a peer-to-peer cash network, we damn well everybody using it as a peer-to-peer cash network, because it's going to die otherwise, right? If you're not using the network, then it dies over time. And again, it goes back to one of Saylor's comments of, do people care about sound money? It's not something technical that's, and again, I truly believe, after thinking about this for hundreds and hundreds of hours, just this thing alone of the mindset, the psychology of Bitcoiners and getting caught in the malaise, because this is the boredom, the frustration, the patience, all these different things that go into it. This is what lulls people into a false sense of security. We read this the other day, I believe it was yesterday, from Common Sense, from Thomas Paine's Common Sense. And we talked about in that very first paragraph, a thing that's not right, but happening for so long just kind of becomes, it just is. Even if it's wrong, but it's been happening for so long, this injustice, well, it just kind of becomes right. And all of a sudden, we're just a frog in the boiling pot. We don't understand what's actually happening. So we have to be extremely careful with how we're treading moving forward, how we're speaking moving forward. Words matter. What we're saying, how we're saying them, who we're talking to. Because we are in an information war. This is not Concord or Lexington, fortunately. Very grateful that it's not. But we're in an information war. We're in a verbal war. We're in a mind war, a psychological operation. And you're going up against the best people in the world. We're going up against people have been doing this for 150 years and perfecting it at mass scale, mass formation psychosis, doing it on militaries, doing it on colored revolutions, doing it on populations, on societies. This is who we're up against. So I think there's a lot of Bitcoiners, and again, when I say this, I throw this in. This is on me too. This is it's just a call to action. It's a call to be aware, be alert, how we're speaking, what we're doing, what we're clicking on, what we're reading, just everything, because it's a call to action for all of us. That if we aren't careful, we can miss the opportunity over the coming years because we're focused on the wrong things. We're not building. I need a sip of my coffee. If we're not going the freedom ethos direction, we veer off from that, and we're not committed to the self custody. We're not committed to running a node. We're not committed to these things. Then it will just be captured. It might be decentralized still, and this network might be running. But again, we can see with Keone what's going on there. Again, the signal within all the noise. The samurai guys, Roman Sterlingoff, Roman Storm, Bill and Keone Rodriguez, and Bill Hill. I forgot Ross Ulbricht just tweeted it out today. I retweeted it of one or two other guys that are these cases going on, privacy cases, all these things happening. We can see what happened with Assange over the years, Snowden. This is the signal, guys. This is the signal. This used to be a government. This used to be a government that was run for the people by the people, and we're a long way away from that. Again, we read the Declaration of Independence a bit yesterday. The government is derived at the consent of the people. We are a long way from that. Long way. Doesn't mean we can't get back there. I think we will. I'm very hopeful. I know we will. But it doesn't mean there's going to be hard work. Absolutely hard work in between then to get back to a point where we can start taking back the power. And again, it's power back into all of our hands. The government itself and the banking system and all these things. Those are people as well. And they will benefit from this. They will benefit. Society will benefit from Bitcoin. That's the beauty of all this, is that we all benefit at the end of the day. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully, yeah, I do have there. I was gonna say I'm trying the new thing with the little with the chat up here. Let's see if I can show them all at the same time. So at the end of the day, again, Bitcoin price will go up. We know that 100% without a doubt. Because why? Well, as I try to find that screen again, we know 100% without a shadow of doubt, the fiat price, of course, will go up. Now, who knows what the value is? This is where, as Americans especially, we know the price of everything and the value of nothing. So I think we're going to learn those lessons here soon. But we know 100% that Bitcoin price will go up nominally. The power, the buying power, but the value of Bitcoin itself will go up. Obviously, as the network grows, one Bitcoin is one Bitcoin. But here's the dollar. Again, the dollar over the last 112 years. And the crazy part is, this is probably going to happen again. This exact chart will probably happen again over the next, I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know what you think. How long do you think it'll take to repeat this exact same chart? Because I'll tell you one thing, it's not going to take 112 years. I mean, do you think it's going to take 75 years? 50 years? 30 years? How long do you think it's really going to be? Trini, what is going on? I just want to say what up to everybody quick. Warpaint, Oliver, Aster Star, Bitcoin Moon Guy, Sparkly Horns. We got a great lineup in here. Torah, got a great lineup in here today, guys. Let's go. I appreciate you guys being patient with me today. We had a 4 o'clock initial live stream, and we just had a little craziness today going on. All good, everything's good, but life with the wife, 4 kids, trying to run this media business, when we can, obviously, just throughout the day, because it's the family and the kids and the schooling and all that stuff is most important. And then we were trying to help some people that were in need today, some friends of ours, and things had to get pushed. So appreciate the patience with me, but I wanted to get this in. We had to. So yeah. So the average lifespan of a fiat currency, Oliver, great. Again, you guys, someone might know offhand, straight up, but I thought I was like 27 years, the average lifespan of a currency. But what was the question I was asking though? The question was, how long do we think that this chart right here? So this chart that we're looking at, how long do you think it'll take for that to play out again? Meaning the dollar to lose 99% more of that, lose 99% of its value from today. So that I should have said that the first time. So from today, we've lost 99% of our purchasing power, give or take, basically, over the last 112 years since the Federal Reserve. How long do you think it will take from this day to lose 99% of the dollar from today's value? So losing 99% again. I would love thoughts on that. My thought. Actually, I'll let you guys maybe put in some of your answers, or put in some of your thoughts on that really quick, and I'll try to look at some of these. some of these comments. Yes, you can just say no to money printing. It's pretty easy. It's incredibly easy. Buy Bitcoin, earn in Bitcoin, self custody, run a node, like someone just said a minute ago. Warpaint, another epic stream. Thank you, sir. Smash that like button. I don't think I've ever said smash that like button, but here we are. Smash that like button. Dude, who knows with YouTube, guys? We have no idea. Zero clue what works in YouTube, what doesn't. After studying hundreds of hours of YouTube itself to try to figure it out, and talking with many other content creators in the Bitcoin space, everything, it's an absolute crapshoot. You have no idea. Uh, I mean, I'm saying you have no idea. Like you have no idea what works. Things could work one day and they don't the next day. So all we can do is throw some truth out there and see what happens. Do you like our politicians? Oh man. Oh, you don't like them? So how do you feel about letting them debase you? It's voluntary now. Yeah, it really is. The ability is there for us to remove ourselves from the network. There, it's funny. There's nothing better than selling your dollars to buy Bitcoin or working for Bitcoin and then defunding the corrupt legacy debt-based monetary system. There's nothing better you could be doing. I mean, what better thing could you be doing right now? Because you're helping. It's both selfish and altruistic. You get to help society and you get to help yourself. And again, that's the beauty of Bitcoin. That's this paradox that you just don't know in fiat. You can't even understand it in fiat. In a fiat world, it is a zero-sum game. It is a dog-eat-dog, which is capitalism to a degree, creative destruction, dog-eat-dog. But in a world on a Bitcoin standard, consumers and producers are on the same side. We're incentivized together. I used to give the example. I haven't given it in a while, but the example of an Apple iPhone. So for instance, this is an example for someone that might not know what we're talking about here. So 10 years ago, 12 years ago, if Apple would have been selling their iPhone for 1,000 Bitcoin, just go with me on the price conversion here. But if they were selling it for 1,000 Bitcoin, and then you fast forward to today, and they were getting 1,000 Bitcoin for every iPhone, how many Bitcoin would they have? And again, go with me on the numbers here. These aren't exact numbers, and I get it, right? But the whole point is, if you take that example, and you can see, oh my gosh, they would have so much Bitcoin that they would be able to take care of their customer better. They wouldn't need to put crappier parts in, crappier battery, scam the customer so they have to buy a new phone every 2 years. They would be able to spend more on R&D. Maybe they'd be doing more charity. They'd be innovating more, right? Because you would then have a world where there's less regulation, less red tape, less craziness going on from the government because the government's smaller as well. Now there's more creative destruction. So yes, Apple is then competing with more people. They're not just competing with Google or Samsung or whatever the other companies are. I don't even know the handful of the companies. But you have this world where there's other companies springing up. If there's profit to be made, if there's sats to be made, then you have this creative destruction where the best person wins. And so what happens? The consumer wins. Producers winning because they're getting Bitcoin, they're making Bitcoin, but then the consumer's winning because they're then getting a better product all the time. And then, oh, by the way, once you spend your Bitcoin, the Bitcoin you still have left, you still are gaining in purchasing power because you still have Bitcoin remaining, hopefully, right? And then you're continuing to incentivize as humans to be able to keep working. If you need more Bitcoin, if you just spend down all your Bitcoin, you need to go work. You're incentivized to work. And if you actually can't work or something to that effect where you actually can't work and you actually can't provide value to society, well, that has decreased so much. It's gotten so, because now it's what, 40, 50, 60% of people are on government assistance just in America alone. Well, that all just starts getting eroded because then the people, the 1% or whatever it is that actually need help, they actually mentally need help or they physically need help, whatever. Then we know in locales, in certain areas, who are those people? Who are those people that actually need help? That's the beauty. So that's this compound effect that continually everyone's on the same side of the table. It's a positive, virtuous cycle instead of a downward debt doom loop, zero sum game like fiat. So you put yourself on a network where you all win together instead of the debt based system where only the people printing the currency, the people closest to the currency printer, win, and to pick winners and losers. Wild. Moon guy, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love doing the podcast. And again, we already have a lot of guests scheduled, a lot of awesome guests, a lot of guests we've never had on before. It's going to be kind of all over the place. We're going to have some gold, gold, silver, like Bitcoin guys coming up, like Alan, has some tough things to say, but brilliant because he totally gets Bitcoin, but also a gold and silver guy. I'm going to have some tough podcasts. We're going to have some uh, people from the macro space, but then, the self custody space, the Bitcoin denominated life insurance. Jason will be doing that tomorrow. We're going to have all kinds of people. Samson Mao come in the next few weeks. Tony Yazbak, who literally had his whole life stripped away in Lebanon in 2019, then built the Bitcoin way. So we'll have him on the podcast soon. So I love doing the podcast because we get to talk to all kinds of really cool people. And we get to learn a lot. But man, the live streams are amazing. I love doing the live streams. And it gets me back into 10 years ago when I was doing Facebook and Instagram lives all the time in my real estate business. And I'd get on the whiteboard and I'd be like talking about real rates and all that stuff. And then people would be like, what are you doing? I thought you like did real estate. And all you're talking about is like gold and silver and Bitcoin and real rates and all these other things. And I was like, yeah, I'm giving you value. Like my local community, like that's why you should probably use us, because we know what we're doing and what's actually happening in the world. But the market didn't get it. It was just, maybe it's too early. The market wasn't ready for it yet. So I'd be like talking like this, like we do here, except you guys actually get it and actually understand what's going on. Oh man. So I appreciate you. Needless to say, people don't realize the high prices, inflation, so they get used to it because people think it's normal. Like that's the bad economy. That's the way it is. That's just life. Just work and move on. 100%, 100%, Aster. I mean, that's so well said. I've had numerous people over the last year or two talk to me about inflation being part of capitalism, and just to edify what you're saying, and people talking about, oh yeah, this is, inflation is just part of the economy. That's just capitalism. That's how it works. And I mean, could not be. And again, typical finance bro from 30 years old. Can't make this stuff up. And you really can't. It's a pseudoscience. It's a mental illness that we have perpetrated on society, and it's infected everyone. It's infected all of us, and some of us have been able to take the medicine and get ourselves out of it. But holy cow! I mean, it is really wild. Bitcoin doesn't work as money. Oh, sorry, I'm going ahead to the next one. But people don't realize, yeah, it is scary. And people do. We get used to it and we rationalize things. It's the bad economy. And this goes back to the mindset thing. That's why the mindset is so important. We have to understand that how important the mindset is, because how many people, again, have you heard, oh, Bitcoin will be stocked by the government and all these different, again, that's because we let it. Politics is a mirror of culture. Politics is a mirror of all of us. That's what it is. Whatever we let happen is what we let happen as a society. Period. End of story. And if we don't believe that, then what are we doing here? We got some big problems. If that's what society doesn't believe, it's crazy to me how many people don't believe they have any agency. They have no agency in their life at all. They can't even make their own decisions. But again, it goes back to schooling. It goes back to the 45 communist goals over the last 100 years, the General Board of Education 120 years ago, the Prussian school system, the compulsory schooling. This is all part of the plan. The plan was stated and obvious and in writing. Break the will of the American citizen. Break the will of capitalism. Break the will of the people. Crush them. Crush them so hard, you drive them into sports betting and self-indulgence and self-pleasure and legal and illegal drugs. You name it. All the things that distract you from life. Bread and circus, the Roman Colosseum. While real games going on behind you in the treasury, out behind the Colosseum, we're all the people in the arena, taking on the tiger and the samurai guy or whatever, the Roman soldier, and the emperor's up there doing yes or no, the IRS and all these people, and everyone's distracted and drunk in the crowd, because what's really happening is they're clipping coins and debasing the coins and melting them down and screwing all of us over through inflation in the treasury behind what's really actually happening. So here we are. But that's, again, not taught these things in school, clearly, obviously. All these things, again, what's said is just as important as what's not being said. What's not being said is also very important. Like we've said before, the FUD with energy usage. Now, again, AI can be controlled and centralized. So, of course, it's good. It's a good thing. It's a great thing. But Bitcoin, when it was just Bitcoin using energy, well, that's bad. That's really bad. Well, why is that? It's because then the powers that be couldn't control it. Like again, you don't have to do a lot of homework. You can just look around, think fourth dimensionally here for a second. And you can see, you don't have to do 1,000 hours of work to understand what's actually happening, who benefits what, and what benefits who. This is very simple stuff, and people fight it. Their ego fights it. They can't believe that their whole life was based off of a lie. So they fight it, they fight it, they fight it. We see how many people it breaks their brain. You know, the Peter Schiffs of the world and the Peter Spinas and all these accounts on Twitter, their mind just cannot handle. It just breaks in half. The what was the guy that wrote the Black Swan and everything? Yeah, the author who was for Bitcoin, now he's against it now. Yeah, I forget his name now. I don't know why. It's on the tip of my tongue. Bitcoin doesn't work as money. It doesn't work as anything else. Yeah, I mean, if we don't make it as money, then you know what's the point at the end of the day? And again, yeah, can it clean up methane gas and flared gas and the environment stuff like that? Yeah, it can, and that will give it some of its value, obviously. But that's a side effect of all this, right? That's a bonus on top of using it as money and saving, not being stolen from your time and energy. Running a node, running Lightning, or yeah, that's it, Oliver. So true. That's why we are early. We are. That's why this stuff is important, and us being together, community, and understanding that we're early, because it's early until we're not. This will keep going, keep happening, and we have to keep educating, keep helping each other until we're not early. Because again, it'll flip. It's going to flip 100%, and it's the iceberg being melted away. That's all it is, and eventually it flips. So, Trini said what up earlier. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Average lifespan of fiat currency. We were talking about that. I believe it's 27 years. Family first, 100%. Slowly, then suddenly, if people lose trust. Dagger said, I didn't see this. What up, Dagger? We will move from inflation to hyperinflation. Exactly. No amount of aircraft carriers are going to save you. They're not going to save the confidence in the dollar. I mean, look, we had Mike Maloney talked about the death of the dollar, the nails in the dollar coffin for the last 15 years. And here we are with every single day news of the death of the dollar. People are moving away from the dollar. So this is exactly what's been being talked about for 15 years now. And so the hyperinflation comes when the right amount of people lose trust. Boom, gone, done. Dollar goes kaput. And people don't think that can happen. It's the let me see if I can share this. This is such a good let me see here. Video Fiat Titanic. I gotta find this. Let me it's one of my favorite memes. I think it's I don't know, I'm partial, but I think it's the best meme, to be totally honest. It's just, it explains everything that's going on. It really does. I don't know why that's there we go. So this is this is just so good. This is why I don't know. I love it because I'm biased toward the Fiat, the Titanic. The Titanic's very interesting because I think it says a lot about, it's the Wizard of Oz. It's the guys that were the guys that were against the central bank, the Federal Reserve, that were supposed to be on it, type of thing. It's all these conspiracies, which we know how that goes. And then all the guys that were pro central bank, they all of a sudden didn't get on it, right? The J.P. Morgans and all these stories. Well, here we are. So this is to me this cognitive dissonance of right before the ship breaks in half. People are you crazy? You know how many Titanics there are, or how many aircraft carriers there are? The U.S. dollar is going up. Oh yeah, it's going up. It's amazing, and Bitcoin is much too volatile. And you can only see all of that. You can only see the fiat system, gold, silver, everything denominated in fiat. We have brokerage accounts, insurance, all these things. That's why we're having Jason from Meanwhile on tomorrow, because they have the whole life Bitcoin denominated insurance. You can actually do infinite banking. I've told the story about my buddy who I love. We fight all the time about infinite banking, and it doesn't make sense. Why would I pay $500 a month in premium, or $1,000 or $1,500 a month in premium, and I'm getting a 5% return because the bond market, which the bond market itself is immoral, government bondage, and so again we can talk about that at a different time. But you're getting 5% back, but you're being debased at 10% a year, probably conservatively. The inflation is 10% a year, and I'm getting 5% in my whole life account from the bond market, guaranteed. Number one, how do I know it's guaranteed? The company can do whatever they want. If COVID didn't prove that to everybody, I don't know what will. The company can do whatever they want, so I'm not guaranteed anything. And then number two, I'm losing 5% a year, we'll say, from inflation, 10%, or sorry, 5% return, and then minus 10% inflation. So you're getting a negative 5% return. Why wouldn't I just buy Bitcoin, hold that long term, and then I can have a small term insurance policy, and I'll just hold Bitcoin for my long-term stuff. Well, now, so whole life infinite banking didn't make sense on a fiat standard, on this fiat Titanic that's going down. So all these things are the system, but you can't see it until you're outside of it and you're on the life raft moving away. Then you can actually see that the ship is sinking. So now with Bitcoin denominated life insurance, it actually makes sense because you're actually using Bitcoin. You've actually fixed the denominator. So everything in your life you can divide by 21 million. So now it's completely thrown the system upside down and in your favor. Now again, consumers, producers, everyone's on the same side. So anyway, the whole point of this is that I love this meme. This is one of my favorite memes, and it's just it says everything because it shows that people that are they're reading the newspaper clippings, they think, oh yeah, this is great. We're actually the U.S. dollar. This thing can never, the U.S. empire can never fail. You've seen how big the military is, and it, on and on and on. And the ship's about to break in half, and it took hours. It takes years, decades for the thing to go down, the monetary system. Just like the Titanic took a number of hours, but eventually it breaks in half, and then it starts to become obvious. And that pain is what makes people jump. The pain to change has to be less than the pain the person is currently experiencing. And as you guys know, in America, there's a lot of trying to mask the pain and a lot of decades of masking the pain. So we're coming to that end game where the debt curve, everything is just starting to go exponential. So whether you watch, James Lavish, or which have, let me see here, one of James's tweets from the other day that, we're showing the debt and all these things that are going on. Well, we're at that game, part of the game where it's going to continue. It's going to continue speeding up. And it's going to get crazier. Let me share this really quick. This is James tweet the other day about the debt and the GDP, and this we're at that exponential part where things start just going nuts. I don't want to take that Titanic post down, by the way. I love that meme. It's my most shared meme for years now. Family first, 100%, 100%. Bitcoin Trini. Oops, I don't know what I just did there. Messed up. I just clicked something up. It'll be much less than 112 years. Yeah, I agree. Average lifespan of fiat currency, the increase in monetary units is exponentially higher. Yep, like we were just saying, 100%. Asterstar, average lifespan of fiat currency depends on how much printing goes on. Yep. And I think well, that's where all those 40% of money ever printed were printed in the last 5 years post come in. Exactly. And that's going to happen again. The next crash, we're going to have massive 5, 10, 15 per tranche. 15 trillion are going to come in per tranche. Like it goes gradually until it doesn't. And so, yeah, about a week. So that's a little bit more than I thought when I was thinking. I honestly say it's the next. I think we hit 100 trillion in U.S. debt by in the next 10 years, 10 to 20 years. Like I would say by 2035, 2040, we'll hit. I think easily we hit 100 trillion in debt. So call it 10 years. I'd say 10 years. Yeah, I mean, like again, I think they're going to be. The caveat is I think there's black swans in there. I think there's going to be the COVID style stuff that happens that just blows things up. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be, yeah. U.S. dollar loses half of its value. Smashed. Let's go. The U.S. dollar loses half of its value around every 20 years. So scared. So sad. And again, of course, it's the poor and middle class that get crushed. This is why Bitcoin fixes that. Bitcoin puts people on the same side of the table and improves the living standard for all people. There's nothing else you're going to do. There's no government policy you're going to have that fixes that. Zero. You can't fix, as Jeff Booth always says, right? You can't fix reality from the current system. It's impossible. You have to get off. You have to do this, right? You got to get off the life raft. You got to get off of that and figure out, how in the world, what are we doing here? So when incentives align, that's it, Sparkly. That's it. Aster, do you still suggest buying gold and silver? So I have Alan Hibbard, the podcast coming out Sunday. He's a Bitcoiner. He owns the most in his portfolio, the most thing he has. He runs Mike Maloney's YouTube channel now, the Gold and Silver channel, and so it's almost 1 million subscribers, right? Massive channel, and he fights with people all the time about Bitcoin on there. But he also is a proponent of gold and silver. Now, for me, I think gold and silver is wonderful in the sense of like tail risk. Like I think it's great if again, the EMP rips out the entire electrical grid of the world, asteroids, something like that, like the less than 1% chance of things happening type of thing, where like just the unseen of unseen things happens. Sure, like that, I think it's great for that. And again, if that's what someone believes in, like they think it's utility, or like, hey, I just want this because I want to go to the pawn shop every month and give them a gold coin, and away I go. I get my cash. Hey, I mean, who am I to say to who am I to say it? I think my point with all this is that the if you're going to fix the incentives of society and try to put everyone on the same side of the table and remove the not remove but to defund the corruptness and by the incentives and also reduce the size of government down to a point where people have max freedom everywhere, the only way you're going to be able to do that potentially is through Bitcoin, obviously. We've never had that ability for 5,000 years. Gold and silver have failed at doing that. Now, you yourself, it's kept you yourself above water, or like your head above water, and that's good. But society, at a societal level, it has not worked. And there's no way for it to work because it's physical. So the beauty of it is that it's physical, but that's also the downfall. And so again, it's not against gold and silver. I'm not against real estate. I love real estate. Like I'm a real estate guy. I'm not against any of these things. It's just that the best way to do something on a global standard, a global society, is obviously the Bitcoin network because of all the properties, all the things we know to be true. That's the only way. So I don't know if I don't wouldn't suggest buying gold and silver, but it's a personal protection for you yourself. It's what everyone's comfortable with, right? For a global standard, I feel that hey, let's get to and this is where I go stand with all of it. Freedom maximalist first, whether it's the altcoins or you're gambling at a casino or it's gold and silver or stocks or whatever it is in your life. My whole point is I put my time and energy into the first. That's why I always keep saying keep the main thing, and do this first. And it's hey, can I put all my time and energy and can we move the system along and build society on a solid bedrock that we know has a chance of existing here for a long time because nothing else has shown the ability to do that beyond 20, 30, 50 years, type of thing. Maybe the Roman Empire, doing the gold and silver thing for a while. Obviously, I forget which was the East or the West that had gold and silver for a couple hundred years, right? But again, that's generally a homogenous society with a much smaller area. It's not a global society that we're in now. So Bitcoin's the only thing that potentially has a chance to do that thing. So why, as me sitting here, when I look out and pontificate on all this, why would I not advocate for the system that gives everyone on the earth, 8 billion people, a chance to do this, have their time and wealth and their energy not be stolen from, and to have commerce, the actual trade itself is the final settlement, not have the chargebacks, the funny games, the 3% fees, all of it, right? The whole shebang. Why would I not put my energy into that first? Then, once we have that as a standard of society, then sure, like you want to have, gold and silver, you want to have all these things. And again, I'm taking out the tail risk. So again, if people have a little bit of this for emergency, a tail risk, something like that, I get it because I'm that way too. I'm a hedging mentality by nature. I'm think of an insurance risk mitigation mindset. But why would I put my time and energy into anything else other than trying to get this thing done first? Then once that's done, then you can go play funny games. Then you can go gamble and do all this other stuff first. The irony of all that again is that you're probably not going to need to because society has become so abundant that you don't need to go gamble. You don't need to go. It's de-incentivized your willingness to go do those things. There's just no point because you're not looking to try to get ahead just because you're actually spending time with your loved ones, with your family. You're having more kids. You're doing actual things that actually bring society forward and actually fulfill you. So, anyway, it's a great question. Sparky Horns, second super chat ever. Wow, thank you guys. What to think of something? I don't know. I don't know what to do. You know what? Well, I don't know how many conferences in general, maybe a couple a year. But at some point, what we'll have to do, we had in hockey, we used to have the team tip jar or the fines. So in professional sports, you have kangaroo court where I'm sure you guys probably had this if you played professional sports or if you were in maybe some organization and you have a kangaroo court where people get fined, like your buddies, your teammates or whatever, your classmates or whatever it is, they get fined because they're doing something stupid or something ridiculous or something really goofy or something like that. So you get fined. So for instance, if someone was late for a team meeting, you get fined. You might get fined $25 or $50 or $100 or whatever. And guys would put before a game, they'd put money on the board before the game. So a rookie, their first game or something, they'd put $100 on the board or something like that. So anyway, at the end of the day, all of that money would go to a team party at the end of the year. So we'll have to think of something I'll have to add all the super chats up or something like that over time, and have to eventually do like a get together and throw a get together at an event, at a conference or something like that. Once a year, or I don't know, something like that. I think something like fun, or some way to do it. That's actually like fun. That'd be really sweet. Um, and appreciate that. A small gesture of appreciation. Thank you. Keep it the fight, true warrior. Love the live stream. Well, thank you. I'm trying to. I'm doing the live stream also because that way I can talk, because I like hearing myself talk. Obviously, no other way to say it, I guess. And I want to drive my wife insane, so I gotta stop talking her ear off now for the 10 plus years. So she's going to drive her crazy at some point. So I need an outlet to be able to talk more, not just write articles or write books. Like I need to actually just like talk. And then the podcast, I don't obviously talk as much. Now, do I talk too much in the podcast? Yeah, I do. So I'm trying to work on that, guys. So bear with me on that. Talk less, let the guest speak even more. I'm working on it. I know it, but it's still hard at times. I want to like interject. I want to like get my thoughts in there too, and have like a back and forth conversation like we're sitting next to each other. But it's tough. It doesn't always work well when you're over the internet. So still, after a year or two of doing it, still trying to get better. Can always get better. So I appreciate that, Sparkly Horns. That means a lot. And I love sitting here chatting with you guys, talking about all this stuff, and building the culture, building the community. It's huge. So I appreciate your time. Yes, kudos. Thank you, Warpaint. If the lifeboat was a spaceship, it'd be accurate. Oh, yeah, we're getting there. By the way, does anyone know? So, riddle me this, and this is the whole Elon Musk thing that we can go down. We're not going to do this today because we've already been going for dang near an hour, so we got to shut this down soon. But, why is Elon? He gets so many grants? So if Bitcoin, if global warming was such a massive issue for so long, then why would Bitcoin mining not be applauded, uh, lauded, incentivized, all these things, right? Kind of interesting question. Also, why, if the free market wanted to go to Mars so bad, or really wanted electric cars so bad, then wouldn't those companies be profitable without massive government grants or things of that nature? Wouldn't everyone be throwing their money at Elon going to space, or doing these different things? So just things that I ponder, things I think about, and it's just like, I don't know, the free market, is it telling you that they want to go to the moon or go to the Mars, or any of these things? Is that what it is? Because it seems like we're kind of round pegging square hole things. I don't know. Maybe I'm losing my mind. It's getting late here again. Again, haven't had a ton of sleep this week, guys, so I appreciate you. Just me going on. This is me. I don't, might have some adult beverages here and there, but that's it. Don't put anything else in this body. Nothing else. No seed oils. No other garbage. I'll barely have a Tylenol or Motrin really ever. I like knowing how my body feels. So it's just me being delirious, and the crazy thoughts that go in my mind when I can't sleep at night. People on top, uh, the people on top think the USD is going up while it's losing purchasing power, sinking. This is awesome meme. Yeah, it is, Aster. I love this meme. It is literally the greatest. I think it explains so much. You can use it in so many ways. Um, Game time. Let's go, Torip. Let's go. Maybe the Titanic should be the intro background to the stream. Yeah, you know what? Maybe it should. So I made a video of Max Kaiser, which maybe I'll play it here to kind of like wrap the show. I'll try to play it. It's a couple minutes long, but you guys have to give me the thoughts on it. But it's just a progressive. It's like 3 or 4 minutes long, and it's progressively crazier rants. It's like 5 different rants of his that progressively get crazier, and all those things are like something gets progressively crazier over time. So it's pretty dang funny. But I'm trying to figure out a way. So because what I'm going to start doing is trying to have set times for the show and try to make them 90% of the time, make sure they're actually accurate, and actually hit that time right. But I'm trying to figure out how I can set this like 3 or 4 minute video to play as it's if it was like a 4 o'clock show or whatever it is, then like 3:56 the video starts of Max Kaiser of this rant in essence, and then it plays. Or for now, we'll have this meme because I think it's such a great meme to have here, such a great uh, photo and meme. But that Max video is would be a great thing to lead up, and then we go into the show. Just kind of set the tone of the show, which I know you guys will appreciate it. It's not really gold versus Bitcoin versus other things. It's a dollar denominated debt system, which gold is a part of, versus decentralized and secure Bitcoin. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Because unfortunately, with gold and silver, they're beautiful. They really are, right? But and they're useful. But the struggle is no one denominates their life in ounces, right? You can't send me gold and silver. There's no final settlement. That you can't. There's nothing you can do. There's just nothing you can do about that. It's impossible. That the trade is the settlement in Bitcoin, and that's the thing that gold and silver unfortunately can never do, unless it's just like me and you, and like okay, locally we're like live next to each other, and like that's fine, right? But that you can't do global commerce off that. So that's such a great point. So it unfortunately it gets thrown back into the fiat system, no matter what. So clean your machine. What up? What up? Hello everybody. USA in the house. Yes sir. You guys breaking off soon or what? Um, how's that going? I know Nolan Bowerly. He said you guys gonna be breaking off, and we had the stream. Was that last night? BTC sessions. We had the a bunch of the different Bitcoin content creators on that just in the last panel, and we were talking about that a little bit too. So that'd be wild. That'd be crazy if you guys did. Let's go. Um, we did that on our lawn mowing crew. Every time someone spilled gas or screwed up, yeah, there you go. So they had to pay $5 to the party fund. Yeah, it's so good. It's such a like more people need to do that. Got to have the kangaroo court. Got to have the team tip jar, company tip jar, and then you throw like the party or whatever. So yes, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We will have the live stream tomorrow. That'll be around 3:30. That is scheduled with Jason. Probably have another one Monday or Saturday, maybe 11 or 12 or something like that. And then Monday, I think we're gonna have a bunch of the content creators. We're gonna talk about gold, silver, altcoins, Bitcoin. That'll probably be around 4. So I have hopefully 1 or 2 guys, maybe 3 or 5 guys on that one. And then we'll try to do some. I don't know if we'll do Christmas Eve. Probably not. We'll have a podcast coming out Christmas. Probably nothing the day after, and then we'll have a handful that following week between Christmas and New Year. We'll have some live streams. Bitcoin Moon Guy, take off. Get out of here. Get some rest. We should run some nodes. Thank you, Oliver. We should run nodes of my Bitcoin on Mars to further decentralize. Yeah, and that'll be one of the great things that actually comes out of it, right? So that will happen. That'll be one of the great things that actually comes out of it. Because again, I don't know the free market. I don't know what we're doing otherwise. I don't. Is the free market wanting Elon to go there? I don't know. Who's paying for that? So like, that scene. It's the government. It's all of us. We are indirectly, well, no, directly funding it through our taxes and all the printing, which then we pay through inflation, right? Absolutely wild. Looks like we are here at the end. I feel like the interplanetary Bitcoin will end up being forked. Too hard to sync chains at those distances. Yeah, that's to me what would be fascinating. That'll be really interesting, Oliver, of just the interplanetary Bitcoin protocol and what will end up happening. That'll be super interesting. And again, maybe it is. Maybe interplanetary, that's kind of what happened. Just like we had here in the last, for a long time. That's why governments, to a degree, one of the reasons, in a way, that there were government currencies in every location, because you couldn't easily reach different places quickly, right? And now life keeps getting easier to reach different places. Between communication, we can communicate, transact, and we can fly whatever it is very quickly now, all of these things. So now you need a global, decentralized, digital, secure money, and we didn't need that. Like for all intents and purposes, and that's what we talked about the Roman Empire. They didn't need it. They were able to and again, if someone can put in if it's the West or the East, and my mind's drawn a blank, which one for a couple hundred years, the West or the Eastern Empire was able to go on a gold and silver standard and have that work. The one side collapsed pretty quickly because they got away from hard money, but then the other didn't. The whole point of all that, though, is that the more local you are, obviously the smaller you are. If it's just a couple of us in a little local community, a local man cave, and we're just hanging out, then yeah, gold and silver is awesome. Like, it's super simple. But you can't the further you go out. And the one thing Alan said also, which again I'll be curious to get your guys' thoughts on Alan's episode, because he has some really really interesting viewpoints, but also some really interesting things to kind of think about as a Bitcoiner as well, just coming from the gold and silver perspective. But again, he is a huge Bitcoiner, and a bigger Bitcoiner probably than even gold and silver. But he was talking about interplanetary travel, and he said the one thing that Bitcoin could knock out Bitcoin, ironically, Oliver, is in his thoughts, like down the line, maybe a couple hundred years from now, is if there were aliens or something like that, where you have this world where the people that need to travel always are going to have better weapons, better technology, better money. So that would be a way of that we would maybe find, because it would probably have some type of technologies that we don't have available to us now that would enable that to happen. So anyway, really fascinating. We kind of talked about that a bit. Super fascinating. But to your point, that just made me think of it, that that we start getting into a different world. So there you go. Cool. Yeah, East lasted a lot longer than the West. Yep. So there you go. The empires right there. They show us what's up. Let me show comments on stage. Let's see. Tall. Oh yeah, I'm messing with all these. Let's go. Tall. Let's go. Medium font. Big font. Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. There's a lot of StreamYard is cool. There's some good stuff here. Let's go. Appreciate you guys. If you guys want to support the show, again, Stamp Seed. Get your Stamp Seed. Get your flipping self custody set up if you haven't already. Holy cow! Get your foundation, passport. Get your open source protocol in your own hands. Use it. But get your Stamp Seed. Check out Meanwhile, Crowd Health. It's that time of year. Make sure you're decentralizing your healthcare. You're not stuck in the insurance system. Holy cow! Let's go. Let's go. So appreciate you guys a ton, supporting the show, everything, watching, showing up here, jamming, community. It's all we have at the end of the day. At least not to go insane. That's the biggest part. And again, if you guys have any feedback with any of the companies, by the way, the products, services, the people, whatever it is, please let me know. Because if we have problems with any of them, they ain't gonna be sponsors very long. They will not be sponsors long. I can tell you that right now. So that's the best thing I can tell you. Trini, God bless, Godspeed. Yeah, that'd be awesome. We'll do it. Maybe we'll do a show about some of that. I gotta find something. Maybe we'll find a person or two. Let's get it. We can get a couple people on. We can get a couple of us on. We can talk about it. We can talk. That'd be crazy. So appreciate you guys a ton. Any last words, comments, questions, concerns? I think that is. Make sure this is running, and I appreciate you guys bearing with me on the times. We'll be good though going forward. So messing with StreamYard, messing with all these different things. They're looking pretty good though. But we're getting there. And then everyone said the pixels and the clarity is much better. So that's huge as well. So thank you guys. Thank you for the feedback. Let's get after it. Check out the videos that we just did this week. They're pretty cool. The Keone. Oh, that was the other thing. I knew I was forgetting something. The Keone live stream we did. No, where it is? Oh, there it is. Okay, so here, gotta get the Titanic out of here. No. Hold on. We need to get Keone and Bill. If you guys have not signed this, because he is, unless I missed something, he is still going to prison tomorrow. He's reporting. As long I didn't see anything to the contrary. So please go. Oh no. Please go. There he is. So please go and check this out. Sign this if you have not already. So to anyone who's watching later on, please go check this out. Sign it. I don't know where my screen went. There it is. So I can scroll. So go check this out. There's a bunch of guys. Bill Keone here, Roman Storm, Roman Sterling off. There's a bunch of guys out there that are fighting. That's what we were saying earlier. The signal is in that's scattered among the noise is stuff like this. Who is the government going after? What's actually happening? There's not a CEO of Bitcoin, but there are people building privacy tech, building the technology, the actual system, not the ETFs, not the garbage there. That's we're seeing these different things where, oh, we're getting the license to do this and the license to do that. It's like, if the government was going to let you easily just do something, then that part probably doesn't matter that much. What the government's going after is exactly what you need to be paying attention to. That's probably the things that we should be spending the most time on, right? There's privacy technology, these different things. That's the signal in all the noise. So go check this out. I'm gonna try to put where'd this go now? I gotta put the link in here and pin that. So again, it's thinking through first principles and adversarial thinking at the end of the day, right? Like that's really all it is. And sign the So again, this is why like these things are not hard to figure out. It's just thinking with critical thinking and common sense. That's it. So what are the things that are being attacked? What are the things that are the government's coming after? Those are the things that we should focus on going forward. So appreciate you guys. Check this out. Read it. Sign it if you have not. Because this is an affront to all of us at the end of the day. Privacy, the lack of privacy, people building privacy tools for all of us. And if they are not able to do that for all of us, then we all lose. And we're not standing up for things for each other. Then what are we here for? So I appreciate you guys. We will see you tomorrow.